Hello everyone. So I had promised to share this video update and it's been haunting me ever since. So here is me fulfilling my promise. I remember I shared previously while I was away and I was on my away for my solo trip without my son, and there were a lot of things happened during that period, and I just wanted to share with you all the experience because for me it was this is the first time that this was happening, and I have different ways of looking at the incidents that happen. So if you all know that I like to look at things from different perspectives. Okay, I know when I start to explain everything that happened, that went down while I was away, many people will see a lot of negativities and all of that, but I choose to see improvements. I choose to see the good and the bad in certain behaviors. I'm working on this, to be honest. It can be really difficult, especially when the behavior is a challenging one. But I am learning every day to think deeply into the whys of my son's behavior rather than just assuming that he's behaving for no reason. I like to find out the whys, and I discovered that really reflecting and thinking back or trying to figure out the whys many times, it leads me to discovering something positive. So let me just go down into the details of what went down while I was away for my solo trip. So, the first thing I noticed is that, okay, so before I left, I had left instructions that there was no screen because I already started working on the no screen rule since the beginning of this year. I've shared previously my challenges and, the mistakes I made with introducing him to screen time earlier on our journey. So now, this was what happened. Usually on my previous travels, whenever I travel, they allow him to do everything. They break all the rules. No one, keeps check on him. He goes back to watching, excessive screen, and he becomes non-attentive, and, he just enjoys the freedom, and all of that. But this time around, because there was no screen, he was actually present. This was the first time that I felt like he felt my absence in the house. He noticed that I wasn't at home because there was no screen. There was nothing to keep him busy. Yes, during my previous trips, he won't notice sense my absence, maybe at bedtimes when we do, when he noticed that routines are missing, the things, the engagements I do with him before bed and all of that. I think that is the only time. So basically now he was left with nothing other than, engaging with his siblings. There were other things. He had other activities basically in place for him to play with, but not screen. And I noticed that he was really, for the first time, he was aware. He was aware that I was away. He felt the impact of my absence in the house, and this led to him behaving negatively and badly towards my house help who was living in to take care of them while I was away. Some of the things that he would do was that she mentioned that he couldn't stand her voice at all. That each time she called his attention to do anything, he would lash out on her, he would yell, he would throw things at her, or he would try to, come at her to hit her. He's not aggressive, but sometimes he comes like that. He pushes and tries to be defensive towards her, but not in a kind of a really mean way. Now, this was really serious because sometimes she said it was really difficult for her, that she couldn't even call him to come and take anything. She couldn't tell him to let go of anything anytime he's doing something, and which he did a lot of, he picked up a lot of things that he wasn't supposed to do, a lot of dangerous things. Like, he just really wanted her to attention, to call on him, to say, Khalid, put that thing down, or Khalid, don't go there. And the moment she does that, he comes at her, he pushes her. And yes, but the most severe was him throwing things at her. She said he would throw everything. And sometimes when she tried to take some things from him, like for example, something's lying around that she said he picks up everything. He once even picked up her phone and tried to throw it into the toilet to flush. Like, he was picking up everything and trying to put everything down the toilet, to flush everything down the toilet. It was really bad. Each time I called home or I had this The sisters will fill me up with so much. Khalil did this, Khalil did that, and it was only 2 days, by the way. I was only away for 2 days. My husband and I were away for 2 days, and he came back to take over while I stayed extra 2 days anyway. So basically, she was there with my son for just 2 days. But what I want to say about this thing is that, like I said earlier, this was the first time he was actually aware. I think this was his way of expressing that he missed me. He was angry with her. I just want to believe that it was his way of saying, why did you have to come and stay? Why did you let my mom go? Why did you agree to stay and stay with me? He was angry with her, and he was obsessed, and it was obvious that he was angry, and this was the only way that he could show that he was really angry with me and with my house help for staying while I was away. Now, the good thing is that each time I called, this was the first time that my son would actually pick up the phone and respond to me in all of my years of traveling, leaving him behind. I mentioned in my previous post, I have traveled, I think, a total of 6 or 7 times. I think I made a mistake. Yes, I must have traveled about 6 or 7 times. I think 5 after his diagnosis. But basically, this was the first time he would respond to me on his own. So many times in the past, I call or I do a video call, which I do every day. I do like morning, afternoon, night video calls. He wouldn't come. It would be really difficult to get his attention because of the screen. He would just sit down and be, steaming and be all hyper. And when they eventually able to force him to come and say hello to me, he would just come and say like, "Hello, mommy, how are you?" And he just runs back to watch what he's watching. So he's never really there presently, But this time around, whenever I called, he will pick up the phone. He will respond to me. He will respond to all of my questions like, "How are you doing?" He will say, "Fine, thank you." In fact, the moment he picks up the phone, he says, "Assalamu alaikum, mommy," and that is how he starts his greeting. This is usually how we start greeting every day in the morning. So he's already used to that routine. He says, "Assalamu alaikum, mommy. How are you, mommy?" And I ask him, "What are you doing?" He tells me what he's doing. I asked him what he ate. He tells me what he's eating, if he's eating. He was really responsive to me, and I was so happy. I shared previously also that he was so responsive to his dad also. He initiated that, greetings to his dad, and it was really magical. It was magical for me, the fact that he was present. He will take the phone with him. He will keep the phone each time I do a video call. He will stay staring at my face. He won't want to let off the phone. It was a really beautiful moment, to be honest. And for me, this feeling kind of took over every other thing, the negative behavior, because I understood what he was trying to explain. And I tried to comfort my house help, although she's been with me for a very long time, and it was also the first time that she experienced firsthand, despite the fact that she's been with me since Khalid was a baby, she got to experience some of the things, the challenges that I go through sometimes, when I'm exhausted, when I'm in that moment of feeling low, and she told me when I came back, she was like, "Oh my gosh, Fatima, this is, now I understand exactly how you feel." Sometimes when we share our stories and, people cannot really understand how, it is having a child on the autism spectrum, parenting a child on the autism spectrum, how rigorous it can be, except you live with us, or sometimes except you have to experience it by yourself. But all this being said, I was really super proud of him. At the same time, I was disappointed in how he behaved, because like I said, this was the first time he behaved this way, and she told me that she's not sure if she will be able to babysit or for me anymore because of the way Khaled behaved. She at some point she couldn't hold back anymore. She got really emotional. She felt really hot, like, because he showed her so much resentment at the but I tried to explain to her, for her to understand the reason, the why behind this behavior. It wasn't really to hurt her or to harm her. It was just basically to express how he was feeling.